Hello and welcome to Goaltending.com video segment. We're joined here today by a 17-year-old goaltender of the Portland Winterhawks of the Western Hockey League, Brendan Burke. Brendan, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Now, Brendan, the obvious question, your dad being the NHL All-Star and great, Sean Burke, how has it been trying to establish your own identity in playing not only in the Western Hockey League, but coming up through youth hockey?
Yeah, well, establish yourself is good, but I never really compare myself against him. If you do that from a young age, you'll drive yourself crazy. But he's been a really good mentor, and it's really nice to have him as your father. It's a real big advantage.
Has there been some expectations from coaches and fans at every level that you've been at that you either play like your father or you have a style like his? What have been some of the expectations?
Yeah, well, he definitely plays a distinct style, and he teaches a distinct style in Phoenix. And yeah, I definitely play like that. It's deep in your net, up, down, real fast, and it's a real hard-working game. And for every level I've played at, you get compared to him no matter what. You can't avoid that, but that doesn't bother me getting compared to that guy.
Yeah, that's great. Now, goaltending is a very special position, and everybody that's watching this, they're all goaltenders. What made you want to become a goaltender?
Well, for the obvious reason my father played, but it really is just a really unique, exciting position. Growing up, you see all the gear, the helmets. I'm like, I thought that was really cool. And, then just kind of being, really the biggest difference maker in a game, every game. You really have a chance every single game to either win it or lose it. And that adds pressure, but, that makes it a lot more exciting, and it just kind of drew me to it.
Now, it takes a very special mentality to want to be able to do that. Some players don't want to have that pressure put on their shoulders where you know that if you don't make the save, the puck goes in. Can you talk a little bit about why maybe you're that way? Are you that way in just about everything?
Not really. I'm a really relaxed guy everywhere else. It's not like I'm a daredevil or anything, or I just look for the rush. But it's it is a position where there's extra pressure, and it isn't for everybody. And a lot of guys, they'd rather be the fourth liner, third liner who just goes out and does a different job and a more simpler job. But yeah, it does take a unique person to do it, and I think I definitely fit the mold.
So your father being Sean Burke in the National Hockey League, playing many years, what kind of advice has he given you at this age? I'm sure that he doesn't want to give you too much. I mean, he learned throughout his entire career. So what's he told you coming up as a peewee, a midget, and now playing major junior hockey?
Yeah, well, when I was younger, he was really hands-off when I was younger. I probably didn't get all the way till I was 13 years old. I probably only spent a handful of times on the ice with him, really working on technique and stuff. Other than that, it was just his mindset was just go out there, battle. And he always knew I was a pretty good athlete, and as long as I go out there, work hard, I'll be fine. And then, getting a little older into this age now, me and him really spend a lot of time together on the technical side of things.
Well, and that was going to kind of bring me to my next question about at what age did you start playing goaltender?
I didn't start playing goalie till 11, and a lot of people think that's odd, but I really wanted to start young. I told my dad, like, hey, I want to play goalie. And his thing was go out there, learn to skate, and once you get a feel for the position, if you still want to play goalie, I'll let you. And I played forward for my first 3 years, and I loved it. But at 11, I was like, okay, I want to make the switch, and he was on board, and that's when.
Well, I was going to ask you if you ever played any other position, playing forward. Goaltenders, at least in my day when I grew up, we were always considered the worst skaters on the ice. Yeah. Tell us what that experience about being a forward, how that's helped you today in the nets.
Yeah, well, I only played for a couple years when I was younger, but even those couple years in in peewee hockey and just minor hockey around, you really learned a better idea for the game, reading the plays, and obviously your footwork. I feel like if you start too young, you can get bad habits of skating. There's a lot of skating involved in goalie, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Right, that's right. Now, you came out of the Phoenix Junior Coyotes Elite League, correct, into the Western Hockey League Major Junior. What has been the biggest adjustment?
I think it's the biggest adjustment in every level, just the speed. There are good players. Delio played in the same league as me, and there are good players, but just the overall level is just a little slower. And same with the NHL compared to this league. And it's just the speed of every single player. It just goes up a notch, just the speed, strength, and skill. And it's just an overall game. You can't really pick out one point.
Did you have an idea at any particular point that, hey, I think I've got the talent to make it into the Western Hockey League? Was there a point in time, or was there a situation when you said, I've got the right stuff?
Growing up, especially in a really U.S. market, everybody's really, really college oriented and getting scholarships. And when I was growing up, I was thinking, maybe I'll go play college somewhere. That'd be a good goal. And then it wasn't until it was my draft year for the WHL that I really realized I could play. I started talking to a bunch of teams, and when I got drafted, I realized that this is a real good league and this could be an option.
Well, you're a great straight man, because I was going to go right into the questions about that draft. You were drafted in the 2010 Bantam draft, third round, 49th overall, which is pretty high for an American goaltender. Yeah. Being drafted in the Western Hockey League as an American is kind of a tough thing because you do have many options. So talk about just that whole feeling when you heard your name and you were drafted. What went through your mind?
Well, I knew it was coming up, and I had school that day, and I was at school, and I was texting my dad the whole day, and he was telling me there was a couple teams that are pretty interested, and Portland obviously being one of them. He told me Portland. It looks like Portland might take you in the third or fourth round, and I was, that sounds really good. Going into it, being an American, I would have been just happy to get picked anywhere. But when I started hearing rumors I was going to go pretty high, I got excited, and then my dad texted me midway through school and said, you got drafted to Portland, 49th overall. And I was just really excited, and I couldn't wait to get home and see my family.
Now, you had many options. You didn't have to come to the Western Hockey League. You had other options. What were they?
Well, being American, I went to the national team, and they have a top 40 camp for the top 40 best U.S. players. And they did a camp, and I ended up making that national team, the team that Seth Jones is coming from, just for an example. And so I had the option of either playing there or obviously with Portland. And what drew me to Portland was really just the good coaching staff, and I just really like the atmosphere here. Well,
and you've been a part of a lot of success here in Portland already. Last year, as a 16 and 17-year-old, you played in 18 games. This year, what are some of the objectives you have for yourself coming into this season as a 17-year-old?
Yeah, well, I don't want to put a number on games or a number on wins. That's a real stressful way to play. But if I really work hard and compete well, and being this is my draft year for the NHL, and obviously it's a goal of everybody growing up playing hockey. I want to get drafted, and I'm going to do everything in my ability to make that happen, give myself the best chance.
Now, last few questions. Last year, this Portland Winterhawk team went to they went to the Western Conference Finals against the Edmonton Oil Kings with a chance to go to the Memorial Cup, one game away. How was that experience for you? I know you didn't get a lot of playing time, but how was that experience for you?
Yeah, well, being the younger goalie, I obviously didn't get to play in that series. But just watching, it is a grind. People don't realize, I think counting preseason, regular season playoffs, we played right around 100 games last year, and it's a physical game, and you get to look in the locker room, you look around, guys are real banged up, and it's a real gutty effort to get in the seventh game of the finals, and that's really what you take out of it. You get to see how hard your guys work, and it just makes you, when I get in that position, really do my best, because you don't want all that go to waste.
Now, you touched on a couple of things in terms of the grind, and this is probably the closest schedule that any league has. A lot of people don't really realize that the Canadian Hockey League plays 72 games in a regular season, more so than any league like that, and it really is a grind. One other thing, last question. You just came off what's called the Eastern Swing, and a lot of people don't realize what the Eastern Swing is, but it's a long, long bus ride. Was that was your first experience as an Eastern Swing? You went to the Central last year, but this was the East. tell us about that experience, 2 weeks on the road and X amount of games being played.
Yeah, well, I almost felt fortunate this year because last year the Central swing was harder. We were gone for, I think it ended up being 4 or 5 more days last year because we ended up playing some of the BC teams on the way back. So this one was, last time it was 9 games. I think this time it was 6. But it's a 24-hour trip up there to Brandon. And our last game in Swift Current, thank goodness we won because it's a 19-hour straight bus ride back. And, if you're not a happy bus, that's a real grouchy ride. But, it's tough. And for a lot of the young guys, it's a real good experience. And it's almost an initiation to the league.
Right. Well, Brendan, we really appreciate you stopping by and spending some time with us and all the goaltenders that watch. And we wish you the best of luck this year, and we'll be watching you the next couple of years on goaltending.com. Yeah, and that's Brendan Burke, 17-year-old goaltender for the Portland Winterhawks.